Hello everyone and welcome back to CPD Readings. I'm your host as always, CPD. So today we'll be having episode 6 of our book, Viralkien, Whispers of the Goddess. Now today we're going to be following the story of Dalmeth and Arquin as they enter into the town of Rakshaw. Now if you remember the last time that we seen the Black Shepherds, Sergeant Major Thrum had sent Davin and Kurth ahead of Arquin and Dalmeth to the town of Rakshaw to try and stir up some unease. They had a contact called the Jensens. Now we're going to be taking up the story as Dalmeth and Arquin enter into the town, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, The Black Shepherds, Chapter 2. Why the hell did you give those beggars coin? Arquin hissed as she sidled up next to me. The Sergeant Major gave us coin to complete our assignment, not to throw at every beggar we come across. Yes, the Sergeant Major gave me money to help us with our assignment, I reply, allowing a hint of frustration to show in my tone, hoping it would clarify the simple fact that the money was mine to use as I seen fit. Yes, coin that would be better spent on weapons, bribery, food, a place to sleep, information. You will catch more flies with honey than with poison, I say, interrupting her. Besides, I did buy information. Or weren't you listening? Now we know where the tavern is. But we already knew where the tavern was, she replied, nodding towards my forearm. Or had you forgotten? An exhalation of pure annoyance escaped my lips, and like a master having to explain in excruciating detail something simple for the 100th time, I pull on the reins, stopping my horse to better emphasize the point. I have not forgotten about this, I say, slightly lifting my left arm. But what did we learn from the boy that we didn't know before? Nothing, Arkin replied quickly. Like I said, all you did was waste. We learned, I say, interrupting her, that the people here are afraid and hungry. And now we also have a witness that pointed out the nearest tavern this town has to offer to 2 road-weary travellers, if we get stopped by village guards. We also took the chance to show those young boys that we have coin, that we will freely give to those that will help us when we need something. I paused there for a moment, looking at her expectantly, and waited for realization to hit her. Then, as slow as the sun rises, it hit her. You think you've created a mole? You think you'd be done that easily? The boy seemed too thick-headed and distrusting for that sort of thing. But there was a glint there that told me she had a little more understanding now, seeing the full intentions. I don't reply. I simply give her a look that said keep thinking on it. And so she did. After a few seconds she tries again. You gave them 2 coins. No. You threw them on the ground. And the younger one, well, he probably grabbed them as soon as you had your back turned. You may be cold and psychotic, but most older siblings will do just about anything to feed the ones they care about, and they look like they could do with a hot meal. Now, in the near future, when I need someone to do something like deliver a letter I don't want to be seen delivering, I will get that boy to do it. Then, when the job is done, I'll pay him handsomely for it, and when I do, he'll come to me, because he knows that I will pay for the food he'll eat that night. At the mention of food, my own stomach gives a small rumble of complaint, almost to remind me that I hadn't eaten since early that morning. Patting it with a low chuckle, all this talk of food is making me hungry. What do you say we go find this coloured dragon? I ask, giving my horse a kick to get back into motion. As we approach the town, we're stopped by 4 men standing guard outside a large wooden gate. Halt there, I said. Dismount and walk into the light, the lead guardsman says, one hand lifted, signalling them to stop, while the other gripped tight around the handle of his sword, still sheathed on his side. Arquin springs into action, playing her role perfectly. As she dismounts, her foot seems to accidentally get caught in her stirrup. As she falls to the ground, she takes the opportunity to loosen her overshirt to reveal herself just enough to leave little to the imagination. As she tries and fails to rise to her feet, she falls onto her side, exposing just enough to make almost any man or woman blush at the sight. Almost on cue, like the untrained men they were, 2 of them come rushing forward to help her to her feet, but not the older man. He looked weathered, grey bushes for eyebrows, with a middling-length salt and pepper beard, which was accompanied by yellow stains around the ends of his overgrown moustache, showing signs that he was a heavy smoker. He barely took his eyes off me, and when he did, it was only for a short moment. He seemed mostly to look with annoyance at the 2 young men who had rushed to Arquin's aid, rather than the young beauty that was practically spilling out of her loose clothes before looking back to me. Trying my best to play the doting father, I put on a dazed, haggard look and scrambled off my own horse to go to Arquin's side. She hadn't yet released the hand of the guardsman who was the quicker of the two to help her back to her feet. While she thanks the strong, kind, and strapping man for his help, she blushes as she realized her mistake of exposing herself in such a lewd way. She quickly turned, attempting to fix the terrible error, all while taking a chance to give me a wink. Arquin, turning back to him like some blushing maid, "By the gods, I'm so embarrassed," she exclaimed, while putting both hands over her face and accentuating her body with the use of her arms. Not that she needed to. Arquin may be mad, but if there was one thing that I couldn't take away from her, it was that she was a beautiful creature, full-bodied and full-lipped. It was easy to see why she was popular with both sexes. It was partly what made her so deadly. That, and the 3.5-foot rapier hidden away on her horse, not to mention a particularly sharp dagger that was always sheathed on her back. Though I prefer to rely more on logical reasoning or coin to get people to do what I wanted, she simply had to unlace that damned shirt and put on a shy maid act, and if that failed, well, she always was fond of that dagger. One of the young men finally managed to take his eyes away from her chest long enough to stammer out, "It's fine, madam. I'm just glad you aren't injured. Care, Tolot, back to your post," shouted the older guardsman. The first man looked to the older man, presumably Care. "My apologies, sir," he said, giving a quick bow and hurrying to move back to his post. But the other barely turned his head, giving a look to the older man that promised retribution if he dared to try ruin his chances with this young woman. As he turned his head back towards Arquin to continue their private conversation, annoyance stirred through me. By the look on the older guard's face, I wasn't the only one feeling that way. I could see his face had started to redden. Was he angry? Or did he feel embarrassed he wasn't listened to? Time to find out. "State your business in Rackshaw, or be on your way," said the older guardsman, anger in his voice. Well, I guess it's anger. Damn this kid. He's going to make this much harder than it needs to be. And damn that old shite as well. He must have a prime little thing at home if Arquin's acting didn't get him to even look her way for more than a passing glance. Or maybe he was more experienced than I initially thought. Guess I'll find out. "Please, sir," I say, throwing myself at the feet of the older man, arms stretched out. "We're travellers, and we need somewhere to stay the night. We've coin enough and won't be staying in the town long. We're on our way to a village, you see, in northern Khantoon. You see, my daughter here is promised to a landowner," I say, pointing towards Arquin, who is still heavily engaged with one of her rescuers. Small laughs coming from her periodically. "We just need somewhere to rest for the night. Please, I beg you, don't turn us away." I knew the old man didn't care for my newly acquired daughter, but all men loved one of three things: women, coin, and power. And just as I knew he would, the old man takes the bait. "Well, these are troubling times," he says, one hand stroking his beard. "There's a tax for letting people into the town come nightfall," he says slowly and ponderously, "to help keep its people watered and fed, and to keep out the chaff." And there it is, I think to myself. The ugly face of greed has come to say hello. I raise my head and look at the guardsman, feigning ignorance. "A tax?" I ask stupidly. The old man raises one of the bushes on his face and holds out his hand expectantly. Of course," I say, as I hurriedly take out the smaller coin purse and shake loose 3 silver and a copper. I shake the purse once more for effect. Then slowly I raise my head up, looking the old man in the eye. "Well, will this cover the tax?" The old man makes a show of looking at the coin and then back to me. "Come on, you old bastard. It's more than you're likely to make all week," I think to myself as my teeth start grinding. A bad habit that only came out when I started to lose my patience. The old man mused. "You're a little short. Usually it'd be 3 silver each. But since you look like you don't have much else, and luck seems to be on your side, because I'm feeling generous. So, I'll tell you what. Perhaps if you tell us what tavern you plan to stay in tonight." As he speaks, he looks towards Arquin, treating her to a hideous smile as he exposes his yellow and blackening teeth. "We'll let you in for what you've got." Where we were staying? I don't like the idea of letting all the guards in Rackshaw know where they could find us whenever the fancy struck them. So that leaves me with only 2 options: either fork out more silver or cut down these sorry excuses for guards here and now. Perhaps I go with the second option. I'd happily pay a man off, but at the end of the day, I do hate making a bad deal. I look to the top of the walls, but can't make out if there is anyone watching us. The torchlight by the gate made it impossible to see at this angle. Well, I really hope there's nobody there, I think, as my right hand goes behind my back to grab hold of the sword that was sheathed there. Well, man, what will it be? Name the place, or you can say goodbye to your coin and sleep in a field. Just at that. Now, father, let's get you back on your horse. These kind men probably just want to make sure that we get to the tavern safely, she says, giving the old man a longing look, forcing her chest to rise and fall as much as humanly possible by taking in deep breaths. And I love a man that cares, she finishes, giving the old man a wink while turning to help her old father back onto his horse. As soon as we have our backs turned, I whisper softly to her, "Laying it on a little thick there, aren't you? Well, if you're still refusing to warm my bed, Commander, then I'll need one of them to warm it." Then, as if she was a snake deciding which mouse to eat first, or maybe two, and then giving a genuine giggle as a small shiver of excitement visibly ran through her. "You really are mad, and you already know that I won't be warming your bed tonight or any other night. Besides, I believe your personal quarters should always match your heart, and yours is as cold as they come," I say as we reach my horse. "Oh, are you trying to flirt with me, Commander?" she asks teasingly, before kissing me gently on the cheek. Maybe some other night then, father," she whispers in my ear seductively, before walking back to the guardsman, saying aloud, "Here's the rest of the tax, my lord," as she hands him 3 silver coins. Before she goes to her own horse, however, she hurries back to the guard who had ignored the old man to come to her aid, treating him to a low bow, before pressing herself against him and whispering something in his ear, and leaving him with a kiss on the cheek before sauntering back to her own horse, all while the men fell over themselves in their hurry to help her back onto her own horse. Once we are through the gates and on our way to the Coloured Dragon, Arkwin looks over to me. "You can keep your expensive starving children. I think that a happy man that will spend money on me, as well as give me the information we need, is a much better bargain." "Yeah, well, make sure your fact-finding mission," I say, my voice dripping in sarcasm, "doesn't go on too late tonight. We need to be up early tomorrow. I want to do some proper scouting of this town, and we still need to meet with Kurth and Davin to see what they've managed to accomplish on their own so far." Giving an almost petulant sigh, "Ugh, you're no fun at all, Commander. Seriously, when's the last time you got laid?" "The dead don't need the warmth of another," I say coldly to her, but she was having none of it tonight. "Ugh, you're so utterly boring sometimes, you know that? Even the dead have more of a life than you, Commander. You should try to crawl from that grave sometime and give it a try. You might even enjoy it." And with that, she strode off to find the Coloured Dragon. Now, folks, that is the end of today's episode 6 of our book. Now, I understand that today is a very short episode, but I just wanted to get this up and out of the way, and I'll probably just sit down and record and do the next episode right now. But although today was a short episode, I do hope you've enjoyed it. Please don't forget to give us a like and a follow if you have been enjoying the series so far. Other than that, be seeing you.